I hate my pop-up. It's got better, but it's still really crap, and I'll take any help I can get with it. I don't know about you, but if I start the wave well, then the rest of the ride is so much fun. If the wave starts badly, then it either ends there, or I'm constantly fighting to regain the lost speed, adjusting my feet, and trying to get back in sync with the wave. It's pretty obvious, but the more challenging waves won't allow for a slow or inefficient pop-up, so it makes sense to address as many issues as early as possible and to start drilling good habits immediately. During the recent video analysis with one of the UK's best pro surfers, Ruben Ash, 3 important points were highlighted that I could start working on. If you want to know what he had to say and how to have a better pop-up, then you'll have to keep watching.
I'm James Davis, and I've been a skydiver for over 20 years, jumping and competing all around the world. In the last 18 months, I've been surfing at the wave pool in Bristol to see if wave pools can do for surfing what wind tunnels did for skydiving. I wanted to see what would happen if an average surfer trained at the wave pool for a year, if they could learn to get barreled, sharing all the mistakes, learning points and experiences along the way.
Okay, so we've already found and shared some key points via this YouTube channel, which massively helped me catch more waves. One was paddling strategy. Perhaps it depends a little bit on which board you're using, but getting a few gentler paddles in to keep in position before using 3 to 4 hard paddles to accelerate the surfer was super useful information and helped me not blow all my energy and increase the number of waves I could catch. Then there was changing the position of the head and the upper body during the takeoff. A few points to note here, but you can hear the more extended version in the link to the video at the top of the screen now. Being able to change the body position to impact the weight through the board and the board's pitch was again super useful and a game changer to catching more waves. Next was about some basic paddling or swimming technique input. Rob Case is the man for this. Just go and check his YouTube channel out. I'll put a link in the description below. Or just Google some front crawl swimming advice. Basically, a long straight position with minimal drag and a paddle stroke that understands what part of the arm, what part of the stroke is most powerful and which muscles to engage leads to a better paddle and more waves being caught. Positioning for takeoff. Perhaps the most important point that I never really fully understood is that if you don't have a ramp steep enough to actually catch the wave, then it doesn't matter how well you can paddle because paddling alone will not be enough to catch the wave. You need to be positioned where the wave is steep enough so that gravity and the power of the wave can help you. If you want to catch more waves, you have to be positioned properly. In the ocean, that means developing years of experience to read the waves and react accordingly. In the pool it's pretty simple, as the positioning issue is pretty much removed by using the markers and reference points on the wall. Despite the markers, it's still an issue for a lot of surfers, as many people often need to move more forward but are scared to do so because if your pop-up takes longer than the window that the particular type of wave allows, then you're going to struggle. Hence why a fast, smooth and reliable pop-up is so important. Okay, great, so what did Ruben have to say about my pop-up? Number 1, kicking. It's still a hotly debated topic about the impact of kicking, but that's not really the point here. I'll be honest, I kick during my takeoff because I'm crapping myself that I'm actually going to miss the wave. Perhaps others can relate, but I'm not relaxed. I'm actually super anxious, and I just go into full throttle mode, scratching as hard as possible to get into the wave. Ruben didn't say that kicking was bad. The advice I got was that a quieter body position would help. What's currently stopping this is the little voice saying you're going to miss the wave. So moving forward, I'm going to try and remind myself to have my knees and feet together and try not to kick. I've been using one of these bad boys in the swimming pool, which means a swimmer doesn't have to kick for buoyancy, can just concentrate on their stroke. I'm going to try and use the same posture for my takeoff. Number 2. Time taken to get to the feet is way too long. This is because I still use a knee or a 2-step process to get to my feet. I hate looking at the footage of me doing this, and it needs to change. But I think this can be remedied by doing lots of work on the movement at home, away from the water. So I'm going to commit to doing some regular daily exercises to help with the movements. Number 3. Flashing as the wave approaches. This clearly does mean taking your wetsuit off and exposing yourself. What it means is looking back at the wave as it approaches. I'd heard Pat Bevan talking about this before. And Patrick is from Hossegor, which means lots of heavy barreling beach breaks, big tide changes and currents, and pretty much lots of shifting peaks. What he was saying was to keep looking back and to the side of the wave and adjust your paddling accordingly. Ruben pretty much said exactly the same thing and explained a bit more to me. In the ocean, where we have no markers, a surfer needs to understand if the ramp is too shallow and needs to accelerate the current paddling, or the wave is actually steep enough and the surfer can appreciate that the pop-up is going to happen very soon. Basically, by constantly looking at the oncoming wave, a surfer can adjust their positioning. Now at the wave we have markers to help with the positioning, and most of us just stack up behind the person in front, float into position and start paddling when it's our turn. So to help catching more waves in the ocean, I'm going to start looking back at the wave a lot more and trying to adjust my paddling strength, speed and body position and timing a pop-up accordingly. And finally, there was actually one more point a good friend of mine suggested for better pop-ups. Make sure you smile as you paddle, as it's all about positive thinking and not being stressed. You might be onto something, Ollie. In the next vlog, I'm going to share my first attempts at some backhand barrel riding. It's not really a spoiler alert, but it didn't go very well, and both my ego and board took an absolute hammering. If you want to see a session that could be described as perseverance, determination, and some terrible surfing, then the next vlog is for you. Until then, enjoy your surfing wherever you are.